Hi guys, welcome to your Week 7 Connects You launch, and we're going to continue the discussion of the self-directed learning cycle this week. We are now on to the fourth part, which is show, do, demonstrate. That's your opportunity to show and to prove that you actually learned something in all of your studying. So with the self-directed learning cycle, we've already worked on setting a goal, then creating a plan of action to accomplish that goal, and then learning something in the process. And now we are on to where you get the opportunity to prove that you learned something. So the purpose of this week, we want to go into a little bit more detail on to try to break the monotony of school, which is constantly essay, test, quiz, the same things over and over again. You guys do have the opportunity to be creative in cyber school and create things. But if you're not liking how one project is assigned, it's okay to ask if you can do an alternative project. So that's kind of what we're going to discuss today, is how to make sure you're still being creative in school so it's not so boring and tedious. So the first thing I want to do is talk about the word monotony. If you've never heard it, monotony is a noun that means a lack of variety and interest, tedious repetition, and routine. So I think a lot of people do tend to think of school as this monotonous routine where every day it's the same exact thing. And it's up to you to really break that repetition and break that routine by trying to be creative and showing what you learn. So the monotony in school, if you think about it, it's often, let's read about something, take a quiz, then write an essay, then take a test, and then back to quiz, and then another essay, and then a test. So think of your school experience. When it's time to show what you've learned, do you feel that you have a choice in what you create to demonstrate your understanding of a topic? So that's kind of the theme for this week that I'd like to talk about, is you to kind of reflect on your own educational experience and think if you really have enough say in or opportunity to be creative in your assignments. The weekly objective for this week, by the end of the week, we'd like you to be able to say, I can identify creative alternatives to essays and reports, and I can use one of these alternatives to create an instructional piece to inform others about a topic that interests me. So we'd like to give you guys more opportunity to be creative, but you also have to know that you can ask to do alternative projects. One of the main things we're focusing on this week is showing what you know using web and mobile apps. So it's good to know that you don't always have to settle for writing an essay. So unless the writing process is being assessed. So if you have an English essay where they're actually trying to assess your ability to use grade level grammar and punctuation and those kind of things, then writing is necessary at times, but there are always alternatives to an essay. So ask your instructor if you can complete an alternative project. But before you actually start working on the project, make sure you're reaching out to your instructor to share your idea so that they can provide some suggestions and also like limitations and requirements to make sure that you're actually meeting those same objectives, because we do need to make sure that alternative projects are addressing the same objectives as the original essay or project. So I'm going to click into these mobile apps, and you will be seeing this in one of the activities coming up in the next few days. But this is just a really cool thing because it breaks down some different ways that you can use web and mobile apps to show what you know, that it doesn't always have to be by taking a quiz or taking a test. So like, for example, these audio recordings. These are the ones on the left are web-based tools, and the ones on the right are different iOS and Android apps. So you could record summaries, skits, mock interviews, radio shows, news segments, reflections, and perhaps add music and sound effects to your things. There's also apps to do different collages where you could construct meaning through visual images. You could make art, posters, diagrams, flyers, charts, advertisements, and illustrations. There's also places to make comics. You could put speech bubbles and captions on top of illustrations to tell a story, represent knowledge, and showcase creativity. There's also things you can do to create memes that a meme can tell you that you understand a topic. You can use these to create posters and craft visually appealing posters, flyers, infographics, and documents. And then, of course, slide presentations. We do use this a good bit in cyber school, but Google Slides is my #1 thing for creating a slide presentation. And then also pairing that with Loom or Screencast-O-Matic or something that you can actually give an oral presentation and use your slides as your background. There's also ways to create digital books. And Google Slides will do that as well if you were interested in making an ebook for a presentation. There's narrated slideshows, like we were saying. So these are some ideas, but also just using Loom or Screencast-O-Matic and talking over top of your Google slideshow. And then you can create movies. There's different animations. So there's all sorts of things that you could be doing that would show what you know, that are much more creative than just writing this monotonous essay or taking a monotonous test. Now, I'm not saying that essays and tests and quizzes are not useful, because we do still need them. But for those projects and things like that, or those frequent essays, don't always settle for just writing an essay. Think outside the box and ask your teacher if it's okay if you do something else. So for your reflection for this week, I want to bring it back to the question we posed earlier. Think of your school experience. When it is time to show what you have learned, do you feel that you have had a choice in what you create to demonstrate your understanding of a topic? And then just make sure you're explaining that too. So this is not a yes or no answer. Really think back on it. Do you feel that you have enough say and enough choice in creating what you want to make to show that you know something? And then just explain your response.